At World Youth Day in Toronto in 2002, John Paul II was just looking at all of the young people, and I was there waiting to greet him with so many others. He had this ability to make people feel, with a very brief look, feel like they had the center of his attention. It just was a great confirmation for me that if I followed God's will, then I would be happy. Really had a great soul. He had a heart large enough to hold the world. He was demanding with himself, his constant striving to correspond to the grace of God. He did it so heroically. That's kind of the essence of sanctity. My name is Father Kim D'Souza. I'm a priest of the Archdiocese of Toronto in Canada. At the moment, I serve in the Dicastery for the Eastern Churches in Rome. We are at the JP2 National Shrine in Washington, D.C. I'm excited to visit this memorial to one of the greatest saints of our time, so let's go take a look. My earliest memory of John Paul II as Pope goes back to 1986 when I was on a family vacation in India and he was visiting India at the same time. He went by our family home and we gathered on a balcony, all the younger children who couldn't wait for hours as he went by. He gave this great impression of physical strength as well as spiritual. And my grandmother says that's the first point I ever talked about being a priest after seeing JP2. The John Paul II Shrine in Washington, D.C. is different than a lot of other shrines in that it's more recent, it's more modern. Although John Paul II visited here, it's not directly related to a particular event in his life, but it's rather related to the meaning of his life as a whole, with the way he proclaimed Christ on the world stage. And so Washington, D.C. represents that in a very particular way. The shrine can help us to grow closer to John Paul II in two ways. One is it puts at its heart what's most important to him, which was the faith, Jesus, and so it puts the mysteries of the life of Jesus seen through the eyes of Mary right at the heart of the shrine, which was what's most important to him. There is also a museum in greater detail his life, and so that's the way of knowing his own story, which is of course another way to get to know someone's life. It's a long time since I'd seen footage from the Solidarity protests in Poland, but I remember those making a huge impact on me the first time I saw them. People wanting human dignity. There were priests hearing confessions as the protesters were protesting because they were seeking justice in their own hearts as well. They were seeking ultimately God. Yeah. Beautiful. It's well done. It's lovely to see these images. John Paul II for me was really the great example of a priest for my whole life. I remember when I first started thinking about the priesthood, he wrote a book called Gift and Mystery. It really shaped my ideals, along with a lot of other holy priests I met, but he was just by far the most prominent example of a priest who is, first of all, a man of God. I think it's worthwhile for pilgrims to come here. The shrine is a beautiful place to pray. Anyone who's discerning a vocation or any important life choice, go prepared to take in a lot. Just do it slowly, let it seep in, and then simmer in your soul. I'd love to come back here. I felt very close to JP2, his presence and his protection, very close to him.